Shri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedhase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Welcome to all for this session on Ramayana to chapter 65 of Ayodhya Kanda. In the last chapter, we saw King Dasharatha recalling the story of what the misdeed he had done during his younger days when he killed an ascetic boy with his ability to shout an arrow based upon the sound. He killed that ascetic boy whose parents were aged and blind. And finally, while dying, his parents had cursed Dasharatha, saying that you will also going to meet the same fate of dying while your children are away. And the same has repeated now, while Bharata and Shatrughna were back in their maternal uncle's home. Rama and Lakshmana were on the exile when none of his children were by his side. Finally, the king Dasharatha breath his last and give up his life. The night having passed, at dawn, according to custom, the bards arrived at the palace of the king. The traditional singers, those versed in rhetoric and in the history of the dynasty, and skilled musicians acquainted with rhythm and melody began to sing the praise of the king. The sound of their eulogies and their songs filled the whole palace. Others, uttering tributes and clapping their hands, recited the monarch's wonderful deeds. The birds in the trees near the palace and those confined in cages awoke and sang. Till now, nobody is aware the fate of King Dasharatha, so they are doing the usual activities what need to be done while waking up the monarch in the morning. Their notes mingle with the salutations of the Brahmins, the music of the Venas, the chanting of the holy names of God, and the praises of those describing the great deeds of the king. Eunuchs and servants stood near, ready to serve, as was their wont. Those who attended to the ablutions of the king brought water scented with fragrant perfumes in pitchers of gold. Charming and well attired men and women came with oil, unguents, mirrors, combs, towels, and other articles, and all that was needed by the king was provided according to custom. Till sunrise, all awaited the king. Then they addressed each other, saying, how is this? Has his majesty not yet risen? Then the woman other than Kaushalya, who formerly attended on the king, began to waken their lord as was their usage, having with affection and skill touched the body of the monarch. They found no sign of life in him. Then the woman, knowing well the motion of the pulse and understanding the signs of sleep, began to tremble, perceiving the king's condition. Fearing that the king no longer breathed, they shook like the nautical grass in the mid of a flowing stream, and slowly became aware that their sovereign had passed away. The queens Kausalya and Sumitra, overcome with grief on account of the departure of their son, lay as if they were also dead. Suffering had rendered the chief queen pale and her body feeble. The two queens, their splendor dimmed by sorrow, resembled the stars hidden by clouds. Seeing the two queens lying insensible and the king dead, the women wept aloud in distress. At the loud wailing of the attendant women, like female elephants bereft of their leader, Kausalya and Sumitra came to themselves, touching the body of the king and finding it cold. They feel senseless, crying, "Oh my lord, oh my lord." Lying on the earth covered with dust, Queen Kausalya resembled a star fallen from the skies. The king being dead, the ladies of the inner apartments beheld the queen lying on the ground like a female Naga in the serpent. The other consorts of the king, with Kaikeyi overcome with grief, fell unconscious to the earth. The wailing of the women within and those who now followed them filled the whole palace. The royal dwelling, bereft of joy and filled with the sounds of distress, was thronged with afflicted relatives and friends mourning and weeping. The queens, stricken with grief, lamenting piteously like orphans cleaving to their departed parent, clasped their arms of the mighty monarch. Thus ended chapter 65 of Ayodhya Kanda in Ramayana. Namaste Sharada Devi, Kashmira Puravasini, Twamaham Prarthaye Nityam, Vidya Danancha Dehime. Goodbye.